Hey everyone, welcome to a deep dive on building a micro-SaaS business. We've got an awesome True Finance article here to guide our conversation today. So let's jump right in. What exactly is a micro-SaaS business?
So imagine this. You're creating a software solution, but instead of trying to be everything to everyone, you're laser focused. You're zeroing in on solving a specific problem for a specific group of people. And that's micro-SaaS in a nutshell.
Makes sense, but can you give me an example? I'm an example kind of person.
Absolutely. Think of Buffer. They started by completely owning the world of Twitter scheduling before they branched out. Or Calendly, they swooped in and streamlined appointment scheduling, making life easier for tons of people. And these are perfect examples of how you don't need some groundbreaking, never-before-seen idea to find success with micro-SaaS. It can be as simple as taking something that already exists and making it even better, specifically for a certain group of people.
I see what you mean. It's about finding that sweet spot, right? Where your passion and a real need in the market that kind of collide. And speaking of passion, the article mentioned finding your passion as the first step. It seems almost too simple, but I totally get why it's crucial.
It really is key. Building a business, any business really, it takes serious grit. You need that fire in your belly, that thing that gets you going every morning, especially when things get tough. Think about Steve Jobs and Apple or Jeff Bezos with Amazon. These weren't just business ideas for them. They were on a mission.
Yeah.
And that mission was fueled by a deep passion.
So true. I remember when I was building, insert a brief personal anecdote about a time your passion fueled a project. That passion was the only thing that kept me going through all the challenges.
I feel that.
Okay, but passion alone isn't enough, is it? You need a problem worth solving, which leads us to step two.
You got it. And honestly, this flows so naturally from your passion. If you're genuinely excited about something, you're going to be way more aware of the challenges within that niche, right? Like Elon Musk and Tesla. He saw this global problem, fossil fuel dependence, and decided to tackle it head-on with electric cars.
Now that's impact, but how do you go from being passionate about, say, sustainable living to a concrete business idea? That jump feels huge.
It doesn't have to be, though. The key is putting on those detective goggles and diving deep into research. You've got to understand your chosen industry inside and out. The trends, the pain points, even those little complaints you overhear at conferences, those are gold. Look at what people are saying online. Maybe even check out Trustpilot reviews for existing products.
You know what? Those reviews are everything. Before I try a new restaurant or book hotel, I always check those out. You learn so much from real people's experiences.
For sure.
Okay, so let's say we've got that passion. We've zeroed in on a problem. Are we ready to hang up the open for business sign?
Hold on there. Before you start ordering those business cards, you need a plan, a solid plan. That's where having a business model canvas or BMC comes in.
I've heard of those. They're supposed to be a lot less intimidating than a traditional business plan.
Exactly. Think of a BMC like a roadmap. It helps you visualize everything. Who are your key partners? What are the core activities of your business? What resources do you absolutely need? You think about your value proposition, customer relationships, how you'll reach your customers, who they are, your costs and revenue streams. It's honestly a lifesaver, especially for micro-SaaS, because it lets you be flexible and adapt as you learn and grow.
Love that. Okay, so we've got the passion, the problem, and now the plan. But what about the more fun stuff, like finding a cool name, building a website, all that good stuff?
You're talking about your brand. And trust me, it's way more than just good stuff. It's your identity, especially in the digital world. You want to nail that first impression with a catchy name, and don't forget to check if the domain name is available on sites like GoDaddy or Namecheap. Then you need a killer landing page. This is like your virtual storefront. It needs to be crystal clear, concise, and communicate what you bring to the table instantly.
No pressure, right. But seriously, there are so many tools out there like Wix or Squarespace that make building a website pretty easy, even if you're not a tech person. Okay, we've got our killer idea, our plan, our brand, our online home ready to launch this thing.
Oh, hold your horses. Remember, micro-SaaS is all about efficiency. This is where the minimum viable product, or MVP, comes into play.
The MVP, it's like dipping your toes in the water before doing a cannonball, right? You test the waters before going all in.
Exactly. The MVP is all about validating your idea without pouring all your resources into a fully fledged product from day one. It's like a bare bones version of your software with just the absolutely essential core features.
That makes sense, but I can see how putting your idea out there when it's not perfect, it could be a little scary.
Vulnerability is part of the journey for sure, but it's how we learn and grow. So how do you build an MVP? First, figure out those absolutely must-have features, the ones that show off your product's value. Then you need to choose the right tech stack. Basically, the tools and technologies that will bring your MVP to life. There are even platforms out there that require zero coding.
Right. It's all about working smarter, not harder, especially in the beginning. So the MVP is defined, the tech stack is chosen. What happens next?
It's prototype time.
Okay. Things are getting real.
This is where you create like a tangible version of your MVP, even if it's a simple clickable mockup. Tools like InVision or Figma can be super helpful here. Then comes the really fun part, testing.
Time to unleash it on the world.
Well, maybe not the whole world just yet. You'll want to start with your target audience, those ideal customers. Watch how they use it, really listen to their feedback, and don't be afraid to make changes based on what you learn.
It's all about iteration, right? Like those video game developers who release early access versions to get feedback from players.
Exactly. Building that feedback loop into your process from the get-go. And finally, once you've fine-tuned your MVP based on those early tests, then you get to launch it.
I bet that's a pretty incredible feeling.
Oh, it definitely is. And that brings us to step 5, attracting those customers. This is where you put on your marketing hat. You've built this fantastic product, but now you need to get people to actually use it.
That's the million-dollar question, right? The article mentioned Airbnb's early strategy of focusing on their first 100 customers. They even went above and beyond to make them happy.
Exactly.
Yeah.
They were laser focused on providing real value and building those strong relationships early on. Like, they even offered to take professional photos for people who were listing their places on Airbnb.
That's so smart. It really shows that you care about your customers, that you're invested in their success. But let's say you've wowed those first 100 customers. How do you go from 100 to 1,000? What are some marketing strategies that are really effective, especially for Micro-SaaS?
One word: influencers. Influencer marketing can be so powerful, especially when you're just starting out.
I can see how that would be effective. People trust recommendations from people they follow, especially in those niche communities that Micro-SaaS businesses often target.
Absolutely. The key is finding influencers who already reach your ideal customer, whether they're bloggers, YouTubers, or super active on social media. Partnering with them lets you tap into their credibility and their reach. But don't put all your eggs in one basket. Content marketing is another winner.
Content marketing, like creating blog posts, articles, videos, that kind of thing.
Exactly. But here's the thing. It's not just about promoting your product. It's about becoming a trusted resource for your audience. Think about the questions your ideal customer is asking, the challenges they're facing, and create content that actually provides real value.
So it's about establishing yourself as an expert in your niche, building that trust over time.
Exactly. By providing genuinely useful content, you're not just attracting random website visitors. You're attracting potential customers who see you as a thought leader in the space. And who knows, they might even share your content with their network, giving you even more reach.
There's that word of mouth magic again.
Boom.
Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground here: finding your passion, identifying a problem, setting up the business, building that MVP, attracting customers. It's been quite the journey, but something tells me we're not quite done yet.
You're right, the journey doesn't end there. This is where the long game begins continuous improvement. Launching your product is just the first step.
Right, like the saying goes, a journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. But how do you make sure you're continuing to improve and meet the evolving needs of your customers?
It all comes down to one thing: listening.
Okay, listening makes sense. But how do you actually do that effectively? It's not like you can read your customers' minds, right?
You'd be surprised. Okay, maybe not literally, but you can get pretty close. You need to actively seek feedback from your users through every channel you can. Surveys, in-app messages, social media, customer support interactions. Every single touch point is a chance to understand what's working, what's not, and where you can improve.
So you're creating this constant dialogue with your customers.
Exactly. Their feedback is so valuable. It helps you identify bugs, uncover areas for improvement, and even spark ideas for new features that you never even considered before. This constant feedback loop, it's the lifeblood of a successful Micro-SaaS business.
It's about building that culture of continuous learning and iteration. You're never really done, are you? It really is about constantly evolving and adapting to stay ahead of the curve, isn't it?
You got it. Think of it less like climbing a mountain and more like navigating a river.
I like it.
You're constantly adjusting, adapting to the currents, and enjoying the journey along the way.
That's a great analogy. I think that takes the pressure off of needing to have all the answers right away.
Exactly. Just embrace the process, stay curious, and never stop learning from those customers. They are the ones who will guide you towards building something truly amazing.
This has been so insightful. So for our listeners who are ready to take that first step, that leap into building their own micro-SaaS, what are some key things they should keep in mind?
I think the biggest thing is to really find that sweet spot where your passion and a real need in the market, where they intersect. It's not about chasing the latest trends or anything. It's about solving problems that you genuinely care about. Then get out there and validate that idea early on with an MVP. And never, ever underestimate the power of building those strong relationships with your customers right from the start.
That's such great advice. Don't be afraid to start small, get that feedback, and keep iterating.
Yeah, you might be surprised by what you can achieve.
This has been such an awesome deep dive into the world of micro-SaaS. I feel like I've learned so much, and I'm sure our listeners have too.
It's been a pleasure. I always enjoy these conversations.
Me too. And remember, everyone, the most important step is that first one you take. So get out there, find your niche, build something incredible, and never stop iterating.
That's a wrap on this episode of The Deep Dive. We hope you feel inspired to take action. Until next time, keep exploring, keep learning, and keep diving deep.